Peach Fuzz, number 7, I believe it is. Took week off last week, so we're excited to get back and lucky enough to have the Shooter Hunt on the call with us tonight.
Guys, this logo is fire. I got to do something. I need some sort of shirt with that Peach Fuzz logo. I will wear that all over the country.
Yeah, the color combo is sweet. We definitely like that. We're trying to do a lot more stuff with it, and we're excited with our graphic designer guy the way he came up with it. I know he's doing a lot of cool stuff throughout the company.
Yeah, give me a little baby blue shirt with that on there. I don't know. So I think it's something good. But thanks for having me on here. I've been following you guys the last 2 weeks, locked in on the action. You guys I feel like you're the earliest. It was like an early preseason All-State that had all those good underclassmen at it. Super 60, obviously, all the Georgia boys came and showed out. And then, you go right into GDC.
Yeah, right at it. And getting a week cut off of the season for all the high school guys. It really made GDC a lot of their really first games of the season. And weather was so as expected. You've been a part of a GDC once or twice, and we were lucky enough to have Andy Soroka come down and help us out week 1. But yeah, with that, just give us a quick little, bird's eye view of the 2 weekends we had. We were obviously there on the ground, but I know you were locked into all the stuff that's going on.
I think first off, shout out Noble in Maine, because I get my nice picture of Ian Smith with some coffee and some pastries before he heads over to Lake Point to check out the games at GDC. I was praying for you guys, hoping that it was going to be 75 and sunny, because I know last year was about 30, windy, cold. It was as cold as it was all spring, but some good baseball, right? You touched on it, BT being there. Just the entire, I think there's 5. How many of your schools are in our top 50 nationally? Were there 5?
I think we're at 4.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah, Etowah, BT. Yep. So we're getting there. We're definitely, guys are starting to separate. Etowah's still clean sweep for the year. BT's played some really good games. Lost to a tough Walton squad that's always going to play really strong games. But yeah, I think we're going to have a few guys start to emerge. I think Hoko is rolling down in South Georgia. Same thing for them.
You bring up Hoko, and it's like every year when we go through our rankings, right? At least for the teams, and this team's got a prospect. This team's got the number 1 player in the class. And it's like, hey, until Hoko loses, they're those dudes. And it's all around the country. There's the same guys, and it's like, they're not as good this year. These guys aren't as good. And it's like they're not as good until they don't lose. So you got to keep an eye on them. But we talked about Hoko a lot in the preseason leading up to this.
Yeah, and Coach Hopkins, it's one of those things to where we know a lot of the kind of the household names that he's had the last couple of years, but he's texting me about 2 of his uncommitted juniors that have stepped up, and he's super excited about. So to me, that kind of starts to put together, a typical Hoko season. They're going to get up here in a few weeks, and we're obviously going to get down there really soon. We've had a guy down there taking a peek at them early in the year, so it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
It's always important. That's where our high school national rankings, it really comes down, you got to win. It comes down, you can't just have prospects all over your roster. When it comes down to it, us versus them playing, especially for these early season, right? GDC, it's cold, guys are figuring out, so there's a little more leeway. But obviously, I was looking at Etowah right at the top. They were so good last year, the underclassmen. I think I told you, Ian, at one point, I was like, hey, Trevor Condon, we're going to have to put a cap on the number of hits that we get out, because he just gets too many of them.
I know.
Trevor Condon, who just hits the ground running again.
They've looked fantastic to start the year. They're another team that's came into the year that has a lot of pieces to fill. They lost a lot of spots. They have 3 underclassmen in the infield, and they haven't missed a beat. They scored 10 runs, and I think 4 out of their 5 games maybe so far. They had a close one the other night. Future gamer Dion Cole hit a 3-run bomb to get locked in to really put the big win over Cartersville the other night. Big for him to get going. Obviously, what Colin Anderson has done so far this year, what he did at preseason All-State. Obviously, the ball he hit in the scrimmage, he had another big bomb against Lowndes at Lowndes, which is a huge park, over a big monster in left field. So it's good to see that. Trevor Condon, I don't know much more. And Matthew Sharman's been the best player in the state, regardless of class so far to open the year, either at the plate and on the mound. 20 strikeouts to 1 walk, 0 ERA. He's hitting over 800. He's got out twice in 18 ABs or something like that.
Wow,
it's been a great start for this team. And again, they're so young. They have 1 everyday senior on this team. So the sky's kind of the limit for this team. They probably weren't supposed to win last year. They have high expectations coming into this year, and they're filling them already. So fun team to watch and a fun team to have here.
And it helps
really follow from the start, you know.
It helps to have Strumman out there, like such a great mover on the mound, but really competes. And I think that's what stood out to me last year at GDC is like this little sophomore is out here, not scared, getting out there, really moved down the mound well. Obviously, the velocity will continue to rise. He's ready for a big summer. I know that obviously Georgia constantly looking for big-time draft prospects in that high school class. But you talked about Colin Anderson, and I think this is, public now because the info or stuff we're talking about behind the scenes. I'm like, is that like Glen Allen Hill swinging? Because like it does not look. And if anybody out there has seen the videos, Colin Anderson hitting these home runs as a freshman in high school, and it looks like he's hardly swinging. These balls are going darn near 400 feet. It's something that I need to see in person. I can't wait to come down there this summer and check it out because the two of you have been singing his praises. And at a team that's that good with that many underclassmen, for a freshman to step in and play right away says a lot because Edo has been good for forever.
Yeah, I haven't felt that different about seeing a kid live in a long time. Preseason All-State, I've seen a ton of videos. He hit some pretty massive homers last summer in some big events that he played for with Team Elite, and then just being able to get a chance to see him in a closed environment. And I think the first ball off the bat was 102, and I was like, well, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. He was still 14 years old at the time, like this stuff was just different. It looked like, the comp that keeps coming to mind when I see him at this age and what he's doing is Brady House, what he did. Obviously the Georgia roots, the same kind of body and frame. He's already locking down shortstop for Etowah as a freshman 5 games into the season. Looks the part there, makes the plays. Obviously he's going to get more mature and polish that position. But again, the sky's the limit for this kid. And it's going to be fun to watch him mature over the years. And now that we have him in our backyard and seeing him all the time, it's getting even more special.
Well, let me ask you guys about, because the biggest thing I'm looking at is the draft status, because 2024 was a down year for preps in Georgia. Now you're held to a super high standard, right? Georgia produces nothing but first rounders. So last year was a down year relatively, like still really good talent. And we're seeing it in the college level, as you guys will be talking about here in a second. But this year there's some really interesting guys, and I know you got to see him this weekend, but like Ty Peoples is one of the more intriguing prospects for me in this class. Now nationally, it's not the strongest outfield crop. It's better up the middle with shortstops, pitching, catcher, like even corner infielders, but less from the outfield standpoint. Now Ty Peoples is our top outfielder. Ian Smith, did he look like the top outfielder in the country this weekend?
He hit like it. The pull side carry really showed out for him. That's something that's been a big development. He's always hit, but getting to his power frequently has been something that's been a concern at the pro level with scouts. Like, could he do it against good pitching? And hitting the ball 101, carried with no wind to right center field the other day was really impressive on a swing that, probably had a 40-degree launch angle off the bat,
At least.
He was hitting balls into the wind. He was getting jammed and driving balls down the line for triples. It was good to see him. He swung through a couple breaking balls. He was really aggressive in his at-bats this weekend, something that I really haven't seen from him before. He was trying to hit. It was his last time hitting at Lake Point. I had somebody that's hit quite often there. Every time I've seen him, it's been barrels. So I think he was trying to show out. He was facing some good competition in the region they had, facing teams like Carrollton and Pope. So it was good to see him trying to hit quality pitching. Obviously, the results were there, and it was good to see that showing from him early in the season when it was 35 degrees.
Yeah, and one thing I saw too, and you might be about to say his name, but just in that matchup was with him and Stutzer. I was like bouncing around trying to chase some young guys, but definitely wanted to see some of his ABs. And I think I saw like 2 or 3 walks, and the pitches up, he's like totally laying off of. Whereas like last year, he's like swinging for the fences and popping out like 350 if they're at a 355-foot field. Like, he hit some of the longest balls, deep fly balls that were like up in the zone. So that's one thing that I saw from him. As much as we've seen him over the years, I think he's matured at the plate. From a swing and miss, from a strikeout perspective, he's going to take his walks and beat a third in 3 or 4 pitches. So that was fun for me to see in that Franklin County Pope matchup.
Stutzer, though. Stutzer. He's we've been on the bandwagon for a while. Should everybody get on the bandwagon at this point?
I'm on. Yeah, I've been on it. I've been on it since his sophomore year at North Forsyth. We were talking about it in the airport on the way home. Just go watch his like football mixtape. That's all you need to see for me. It's like it's no gloves as a receiver. I don't know. It's just one of those kids. It's like it's hard to root against. He's such a hard worker, and like it shows up in game. So it's been fun to watch for me.
Well, Ian, let me ask you about Stutzer because you came over from Florida. You immersed yourself. You're a full Georgia boy now. You're Peach Fuzz.
Yeah,
full
I'm
through
all
and
in
through.
now.
How
That's
would
me now.
Stutzer? How would he go in Florida? If you put him next to those top draft guys, how would he be?
Yeah, I'm trying to find somebody to really comp him against in Florida over like the last couple of years. Like his profile is so different. I mean, there hasn't been like a stocky. I mean, I think he's got a chance for a 6 glove in center at the end of the day. Like the routes he takes, the speed he has, the burst. He's going to compete all day long. Like I think that the ceiling's a lot higher in center than it is at short. So having him there and having that ceiling really kind of takes it to a different level. Again, with pulling the ball, I'm just trying to think of somebody to compare him to, and it's not coming to mind right now.
I sent you Luke Dickerson from last year. Who's a New
so that would be a good one.
But like, what's interesting, similar to Dickerson last year, we got some stuff at shortstop. I don't think he'll play as much infield. I would actually say Stutzer has a better chance to do infield stuff than Dickerson. But similar profiles, center field, shortstop. They're doing multiple things, multi-sport athletes. Their swings are pretty similar. Now, I think Dickerson was a little bit more physical, I would say.
And I think the hit tool will probably be slightly more advanced with Dickerson. I think that's going to be the biggest thing with Stutzer's draft stock this spring is going to be the hit tool. I think the tools otherwise than that, the speed, the run, the speed, the arm tool, the power that he's showing now to the pull side. He's always had the backside power, but now starting to turn on balls. And if he can hit it at a consistent level, it's going to be a wrap for his profile. I mean, there's going to be a ton of 5s through it.
Now, sorry, I was going to ask you, Huddy, about because the Super 60 dudes were all awesome, but like Terrence Bowen to me, again, a guy we've been a huge fan of since the Future Games, been following closely. I left the Super 60 thinking like, oh, this is still like a sleeper. Like I thought he was really good. Everything moved well. It's continuing to tick up versus going backwards or anything like that. Still ultra athletic, but still ultra projectable. What did you go? Because he's at BT now, right?
Yeah, and he showed up in the first week of GDC, hitting 500 with 5 doubles. So the in game is the biggest factor there. So like, and I was just about to mention our MVP at the Future Games in 2 years ago, which he was on the verge of getting that, right. Like he was kind of that second guy. You saw him. It was like double off the wall.
Oklahoma State was collecting all those guys. That's what they were doing.
Yeah. So no, it's
he barreled that one on his eyeballs, I think, at 100. That was like my first experience in Georgia. That was Future Games that year, and Bowen like barreled one on his eyeballs on field 10 or field 9 or one of the. I mean, definitely on the North Quad and smoked it to the wall. I was like, oh, this is different because it was like not a pitch to hit, and he was all over it.
Yeah, I think he's another one too. You just got to get to see him in a game. Like you said, it still wasn't super loud at Super 60, but then he comes into the 35-degree weather, raining on Saturday, and hits 500 with 5 doubles. So it shows up in game for me.
Yeah, and like it was perfect. Like the Super 6, like showed out. Great to see. Frame looks awesome. Can't wait to follow. I always go back like Ty Pete. Remember Ty Pete went into like that draft summer, like, oh, he's an arm. Like guys are like, this guy's gonna pitch.
At Future Games. That was like, COVID year Future Games.
And like I remember I think he led the my like release after workout day. I was like, yo, this kid's gonna hit tanks because he had been like the little BP superstar.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah. Oh, you threw beeps?
I threw beep for that one because I just remember we had something happened. I had to jump in and throw, and it was like Ty Pete, Jay Murdoch, that whole group.
Oh man, hopefully he remembers that when or Colin Houck was probably there too. Hopefully he remembers that when he's in the big league home run derby. But
I know, right?
But like that's one of those things where like, hey, all of a sudden Terrence Bowen gets going. Guys are seeing it a lot. There's a lot of great area scouts in the state of Georgia. You know that cross checker is going to come in, and all of a sudden the stock continues to rise. So just fully in the open to all the listeners right here. Like that's the stuff we're discussing all spring. Like what's going on? Where are we at with this guy?
And he hit a ball 108 this past weekend. The hardest ball I've seen hit at Lake Point. The adjustment on breaking balls was huge through the weekend. I mean, early in the weekend, it was earth swinging early and then was getting the foot down late and barreled a couple of balls down the line for doubles, which was huge to see from him and just the progression. And even made some really good plays at short. He's going to get a chance to play short every day this year, which is going to be huge for his progression. So I think that's going to be a big development for Terrence as the year.
And what about like what about Worley? Where's he at?
Oh,
like
boy.
It's almost like death taxes Reed Worley right now. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get 7 strong, maybe 1 run if they're lucky. It's going to be like 85 pitches, 70% strikes, ripping off bangers. Is that the same old we're getting from Reed?
Yeah, we got to go catch another one. He caught a tough one up in the mountains last week, like a cold, misty, 30-ish, even in like the high 20s day. So it wasn't as whirly-ish as it usually is, but man, it's we talked about it after. It's like the plan that he has going into the year and the way he wants to execute it, I think is the biggest thing for him. You know, the strikes, I think, was the biggest question mark after that velo jump. He saw that big jump and hit, you know, into that 88, 92 range. And now he's kind of that 90, 91, not touching 92, 93. And so I think it's just continues to put it together. The slider's going to be there. The changeup's getting better. So yeah, it's going to be there for sure. But I was just peeking as we're rolling these 25s. We also got to see Cooper Underwood and Eston Simpson at Georgia Dugout Club.
How are they?
And Underwood, just looking at the all-tournament team this past weekend, went 5 innings, 11 Ks, no hits, no walks. So Underwood strung together 2 really strong performances. His other one was
92 as well.
Yep, his other one was 4.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. So
you know what's interesting? Even his Super 60, like a lot of times in that setting, like the velocity sells, right? Like, oh my God, this guy threw 100. He was like 89, 91. I love the way he moved. He spins it really well. The metrics are all great in the breaking ball. And then you add in the fact that he's an ultra competitive kid and he's left-handed. That to me was like, yeah, this guy, if it's not now, it's going to be really good in the future, but somebody's going to be able to get in there if they keep tracking him throughout the spring and have a chance to pluck him.
Yep, definitely.
And it's two really good breaking balls too. Mm-hmm. It's a spinner, and he's throwing the slider as well, and he's throwing them both for strikes now, which is huge. And I think that's going to be like huge for the development, especially with the fastball. The fastball missing bats early in the season is going to be big for the development. I think that's what scouts want to see, and he's continuing to start gather these good performances.
What about this Livingston kid? Because that I know he's a future gamer. Has it come together? Because it kind of looked like, just looking at the video from I guess last week, looked pretty good.
Yep. Well, no more
the arm
Tuesday.
action. Yep. Yeah. Ian's going to it. And for me, just seeing the video, it was like the arm action has gotten much fluid, much more athletic to me. So yeah, I think that Ian's going to get out and see it next week. We had a guy go see it early in the year, and he was up to 94, 95. So I think it's going to be a really big year for him.
God, everybody throws hard now.
Yeah.
Everybody throws hard.
Speaking of hard, 2027s, Harry Jones Jr. going 95 twice for Ian.
Yeah, that was quite silly. I sat down and it was like 91, 92, 93 in warm-ups, and I was like, this might be different. Texted both of you, and I was like, he's getting kind of electric right now, and sat down. He came in, sat 1-3 in the first, grabbed 2 4s, and then finished it out with a couple 5s. Was grabbing 90s in the 5th. Slider was up to 85 at 2,500 spin. He was ripping it off with intent, you know. And he's now mixing in a splitter that's got crazy arms or crazy glove side tumble now at 81, 84, with like 1,100 spin. It looked like the whole package. He's an elite mover on the mound. He's athletic. He's a basketball player as well. Also a center fielder. Can play third, can play short. He's just kind of the athlete in the class. And with a showing like this early in the season, it wasn't 35 degrees at 10 a.m. yesterday. You know, it was not warm, and he threw the hardest that anybody threw over the last 2 weeks, and he's 15 years old. So
yeah, it looked pretty
different.
electric.
Yeah, it was kind of different, and like I don't know what it is about Field 14. Like I've seen Jamarcus Smith rip some heaters on that 27 with kind of an electric, same kind of profile as Chubb Jones, but I think Chubb has really jumped to another tier now with this outing, and if he can kind of stack throwing strikes like this with the stuff he has, there's kind of no limit to his future.
He's coming off hoops too. That's no joke. To come out throwing like that. It like you sent the video, and I was like, this is an elite mover. Like the way he got down the mound.
It was explosive, you know, and out of nowhere too. Like I wanted it to be really good, and it was like much better than expected. It blew his coach away, who we'll have on here in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But it was really cool to see.
I mean, the Andrew Breck kid looked awesome too this weekend.
Oh man,
phone's blowing up on him. Yeah, after Ian posted him, which we've been on the Breck train. Like 13U Gwinnett Stripers for me is when I first saw Andrew Breck, and Ian got into town and we started chasing him. And I was talking to a couple of their coaches, and his head coach is Cooper Johnson's dad.
Okay.
So, yeah, at Ole Miss. So we were talking, and I'm like, man, we're on like a every 3 months seeing Breck. You know, we saw him in a scout day setting. Then 3 months later, we saw him at All-State. I'm like, it keeps getting better. Like just little by little, it's getting better and better. And he's like, have you heard him talk at the events? He's like, because I don't hear him talk. Just the kid, he's just like a quiet, goes about his business. He's like gaining 5, 10, 15 pounds in the weight room, you know, week after week. And yeah, it speaks for itself too. And he, you know, he's playing short and hitting, and he almost went dead center on a ball, walked up on it on field 11, and then he gets another barrel later in the game. So yeah, it's been fun to see the rise from him.
And what about Caden Dawson? We can't talk about this without a Caden Dawson check-in.
Yeah,
I mean,
made an impact without barreling.
Yeah, last weekend, like this is a lineup that's got 7 or 8 seniors and then Caden, and he was the only kid in the lineup who didn't see pitches to hit last week. It was the craziest thing. He walked 7 times in 3 games. You know, like the eye for the zone is there. He's not going to chase. He was sitting on everything. He expanded on a 1-3-2 count in the whole weekend and hit it backside for an RBI single. You know, like the hit tool's extremely advanced. I saw him hit a massive homer yesterday in a game as well, which is showing the power is always going to be there. I think it's the highest level hit power we have in that class. Going to play right field with a high ceiling and right. It's a big time player on the football field as well.
Is he? Where does he play in football?
He's a safety.
So,
okay.
And fills it up in like every stat category. I think he had like 3 sacks, 3 picks, 50 tackles this year. Like he does it all on the field and just like attacks everything.
That makes me like more than that, because that's one of the difficult issues, right? This corner profile for a kid, usually like, okay, it's gonna be a tougher draft profile because the impact of the positionality of it.
Yeah.
But like one good thing he's in Georgia, so the track record's extended. So that's 4 full years. He's at BT. Every scout's going to have eyes on him this year. Terrence Bowen, the rest of the team. But the fact that he can go do it on the football field and is a really good athlete, like, is there a chance, like, hey, we'll put him in center? Like his senior year, is he playing center field?
Like, is he Jacob Parker as a senior? Maybe, you know, like possibly that's the profile, you know, like he might not be that runner that Jacob showed up at 6 for 60 running to 6.43 that kind of blew us all away, but same kind of body. He's going to get more physical. He's going to hit for power and run. Like it's going to be a left-handed swing that's always going to play at any level. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the profile you look at with him. Like, can he get to that? And I think it's really there. He's always shown it for us. And he's been a guy since he's been 13 years old. So
just a guy he's going to go get it. The ball's over the shoulder too. I think he's got that instinct in him, you know, playing that football position. I think
he's mean in the box too. That's what I loved last year. It was like
it's mature too. Like it's a mature profile. Like in the like last year, even seeing him as a freshman, he was the loudest in the dugout during games. Like he gets the team going. He's a total team guy with that BT roster. He was a total team guy on the future games team this summer. Like he's a fun kid to be around. He's a winner at this age. And like with these select fest kids as well, like that's something I talk about with scouts. Like you see how these kids develop at a young age. You're famous at 14, you know, and his ceiling has just continued to rise since then. And you don't see that with all the kids, and it's been special to see with them and fun to have them. And I guess in our class here.
I'm looking down my list here. I didn't realize Gallison's at Houston County too. Oh, okay. No, okay. I like this Hoco team.
I get updates daily from him. I think he had another like 4 for 8 last couple days. So he's rolling. He's playing second base up the middle with Ethan Buffon, one of our favorite shortstops in that class. So it's a good duo up the middle, and he's another one. He's gamer type, wants to win, and him and Coach Hopkins are kind of gamers with each other. Kind of the Drew Burris type combo is always fun to see.
All right, can I put you guys on the spot?
Yeah, what you got?
Who's winning state this year? Did we already do this?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do it. We might get some.
Actually, let me ask you this. Do you guys have a national champion candidate? I know you have one.
We do have that. Yeah, we do have that.
Should the national champion this year come out of the state of Georgia?
It has a chance to. Yeah.
If the BT lineup gets rolling with what they have and the couple pieces come together on the mound, like I mean, it's just as like Etowah has Sharman. That's like you're going to get what you're going to get from Sharman
Mm-hmm.
every 7 days, every 5, whatever his start schedule is. Like BT just needs a bit more consistency on the mound. They have Cam Novak, who just committed to Miami of Ohio, I believe,
Okay.
who's
Nice.
an upper 80s arm. That you're going to get what you get every day from him. But then they have an electric arm in Joseph Contreras that we got to see last weekend.
Oh yeah,
It's going to be low 90s, and then they have Aiden Pack, who's moved down here from Michigan, who was Michigan's number 227 arm. He kind of had a rough.
He was number 2 on Brother Rice last year as a freshman. Like that
wow.
shows the makeup as
That's
a kid.
Top 15 national team too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's there. So I think the lineup, they got the other Zagrin twin back from a kind of a freak injury. So I think they both hit bombs the other day in the same game. Caden hit a bomb. So when they get rolling, I think that that 1-2 punch is going to be.
So will BT play Etowah? Are they in the same?
No. So Etowah's 6A, BT's 4A.
And what's Buford?
Buford is 6A.
Okay.
Yep.
BT reminds me a lot of the Stars Mills team that we had win a state championship here in 4A last year in Georgia. One of the best lineups we had in the state. And I think what makes BT a little bit better than that team is the pitching. What we've seen from Contreras early is different. Like he was a guy last year, but wasn't throwing strikes. Now he's thrown 2 really good outings back to back. The breaking balls came a long way. 6'4", big league bloodlines, and obviously you mentioned the pack. And they have a ton of guys in the bullpen, like a huge 27 class that are just waiting to make an impact in that pen. So I think they have a chance to really make a name for themselves as the year goes on, which a lot of these teams really don't have with bullpen depth.
Oh, I can't wait for the postseason. I love when you guys go out to all the games and I can see it because the energy, like I love high school baseball in the spring because you get like a different level of energy. It's not like the kind of the showcase circuit where, hey, we're trying to get some stuff done, trying to get recruited. It's like, hey, I hate that other team. And there's chirping in the stands and it looks like the whole town comes out. And I know you guys have been shoulder to shoulder with as many people as you can trying to get some video. So hopefully they give you some space. And
the region for Etowah is actually going to make for some pretty intense early season region games that are going to be playoff type atmospheres. Like they're going to go them versus South Paulding, North Paulding. North Paulding is one of like the hardest places to play at. The Wolfpack, they travel well too. So those are going to be some really big games.
That's this week as well. Like they open region play. Yeah, they open region play with North Paulding like starting Tuesday. Like both 2 7-0 teams, both ranked in the top 10 on Power 25. Like off the jump, they gotta see power, and it's
something like. That's why we don't put out a weekly national update to the rankings because like. Hey, that knowing intimately the hyper local access of you guys, like, hey, this is a tough place to play. This team is good. Okay, I think we go like 2 or 3 weeks. Just going 7-1 is fine. Going 6-2 is fine. Especially when you're going on the road and you have to deal with probably some sicknesses right now with a lot of the teams, as I'm seeing all across the country. But anyway, I can't wait to follow.
Yeah, and I just got a text. I didn't even realize it, but Etowah and BT are going to match up later in the year.
Give me a date, Huddy. I need a date.
Yeah, we get you on a plane, get you down here for that one for sure.
Get me on
Battle. If it's around Battle for Bartow, that'd be ideal. Like Stony Brook's in town. We got one of the better teams from New York will be here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at Lake Point.
Stony Brook's down here right now too. They're playing
like a month
tomorrow.
Yeah. Raven Gap, Peachtree Ridge, Druid Hills. They got a bunch of Georgia teams. They're playing Keon and First Presbyterian Day on the 1st. Which is pretty interesting as well.
Look at you guys. Were you just going to keep that to yourself, Hudson? That's messed up.
I didn't even realize it. Yeah, April 16th we got April 16th we got a doubleheader.
Okay.
Yep.
Do some math in my head and see what I can do.
Sweet. Well, yeah. Hey, no. Before we let you go, I just wanted to touch on before I came in as scouting director, Rustin Rigdon was my guy. He was on the Junior Future Games team, and you were like, "Hey, let's let this kid come play with the big guys." And you brought him over to Future Games. So, like, just touch on a couple of those kids that have made it into college, like the Abernathys, the Levi Clarks. Like, you followed those guys more than I got to because I didn't as scouting director, 3 years ago, I started with the 25s. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really locked into those 24s as much. So yeah, just touch on that just really quick.
Well, I'm pumped for Rustin Rigdon. And I was actually, because he's done off to such a great start at Vanderbilt. I think he's leading the team in hitting. And what stunk for us is like he would have come to the Super 60, but he got hurt his senior year. So like he
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
set to go. Like, so I look back on like, oh man, he would have been a great guy to have the Super 60 from the state of Georgia. Really excited about what he's doing. We always thought it was going to be there. And shout out to Kerber for like, that was his guy, his OG forever. Great family. So really rooting for him. Levi Clark, I watched hit some absolute nukes this weekend for Tennessee. And one thing, like, especially the guys going to Tennessee now, is like, hey, they might make a huge jump. And Levi, was he hurt last year? Like, I know when I was at GDC, he
didn't catch much. He just didn't catch. Yeah.
He like kind of had like a pulled groin kind of issue in a game, and then like didn't catch very much after that.
Okay, and I can only imagine the poor Walton head coach who's like, like I'm trying to deal with this. This is my best player. But he hit some absolute bombs. He was one of the youngest kids in the class last year. I always think of him like Pete Alonso. I don't know why. Like the frame, it's pretty physical. Like in my head, like this is what scouts do. Like, oh, the Pete Alonso kid. But he was hitting some absolute nukes. He's pushed his way in that lineup. Jay Abernathy, I think they're talking about preseason freshman of the year in the SEC. Like that's how good he had looked throughout the preseason, which honestly at GDC last year, if it's not like 28 degrees and windy and Jay Abernathy's not in like 15 different garments to try to stay warm, he may not be in college baseball right now. He's probably drafted professional, like already talking about like a strong first round potential just based off what he did this fall. I want to say I watched him. I think he walked and then Levi Clark hit the home run the other day when I was watching. Might have been last night but really good to see those guys getting off to a good start for sure. I watched Jackson Barbary throw for Florida. He was up 94, 95.
McNeely too.
Charlie Foster's getting time.
Well.
Oh, Charlie Foster. He's got like 3 outings for Mississippi State. I just watched him today. He did the midweek. Talk about winners. Like that's what, especially college programs, that's what they're looking for now. With these rosters really getting more concise, if you're not a freshman who can come in and push his way into the lineup, it's going to be tough for us to have you in the roster. And if you're not a guy who we think can win and can compete in some stressful situations, it's going to be tough to do it. But no, Charlie Foster, one of those guys. So you guys would know all their names better. I was bouncing around to all different college games.
No, I appreciate it. Like it was just, it's like for me now with these 25s, I'm excited for these guys to move on because like I'll be able to follow them a little bit more. Obviously, I knew the names like the Fosters and the Abernathys and the Clarks and things like that. So it was one of those things that I just wanted you to touch on. I knew you were kind of locked into those guys, more than I was at that stage when they were coming through.
And you know what, just to like hop in, like when we're putting together like our draft board and rankings boards, like, hey, that's a big board. So we don't get to see it come to fruition in 24. Hey, we think J. Abernathy's really good. Levi Clark's really good. That's why they're hiding our board. Well, they didn't even get drafted. Well, just wait. Just wait. It'll be okay.
Yeah. And I think we might have a couple of those this year too. But like you said, the high-end talent's a bit higher for us this year. And I think we got a lot more in the pipeline with the 26s and 27s. I know we could talk about those forever, but appreciate you jumping on. I know you got the old twins to deal with and another young one, but we appreciate you coming on, and you'll be the first to get a piece of Peach Fuzz merch when we get in.
I need that. Let Yarber know when I get down there for NPI for All State in June. I want one of those waiting for me. Maybe a nice hat, like a white hat with that. Let me see.
You're a white hat guy. When you do get a hat, you are a white hat. Yeah, we'll get you that. The Nike Tech material. Yeah, we got you.
You guys keep crushing it down there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
appreciate it, Shooter. Thanks a lot, man.
See you.
That's fun, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, always good to have Shooter.
Dude.
We've been pretty close, like ever since I came into the company, and we kind of like first connected. I was up in the tower one MPI like at 2 a.m. like making a pour over coffee with this like travel like coffee maker that I have, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Making coffee." He's like, "Oh, look, I'm a cold brew coffee snob," and we've kind of like talked about that ever since. And fun to have him on. Well, we'll keep this thing rolling. Speaking of Georgia Dugout Club, we touched on Harry Jones Jr. did this past weekend. We got Coach Autry that's going to hop on for a few minutes. Coach Autry, what's going on?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for coming on. We this will be the second second coach we've had on. We had Coach definitely. We had Coach Thomas on a couple weeks ago from Cherokee, but coming off of a winning pool for Georgia Dugout Club, just kind of touch on how you thought the team went. I know we had a couple names circled that we've been following with you for a couple years now, but putting together a strong season to start the 25 season, 6-0, right?
Yes, sir.
Yep. So yeah, just touch on how you felt like the Friday, Saturday went up at Lake Point.
Friday started off a little rocky. We definitely didn't have our best showing, but the kids showed resiliency. They found a way to win in tough times. It's cold, all those different elements, but they found a way to win. We scratched one out against Sprayberry, and then we just kind of challenged the kids moving into Saturday. We told them, we have nothing to lose here, but the GDC is where you can make a name for yourself.
Definitely.
And we're a very, very young group. We're starting between 6 and 7 sophomores in every game. It's a core group of youth, but it's very talented youth, and we're very excited about the future of our program. And to be honest with you, we told them multiple times, it's the future's now. So give your opportunity. Your opportunity gives you a chance here. Why don't you go out and take a shot at it? So the kids have been playing really hard, and that's all we can ask.
Yeah. And, you talk about the youth. Obviously, Harry Jones did what he did. But talk a little bit about Malachi Butler. He's one. We got to coach him on the Junior Future Games team. He hopped up on the 14U team, he being like an age-eligible 13U kid. Right. And, he can hold his own against his age, obviously, doing what he's doing on varsity the last 2 years. But, what's it like coaching him? I know he's a little bit more of the quiet type, but, man, he looked good this weekend.
That's him. He does, man. He's kind of the silent killer, I guess you would say, just because of the knowledge he has for the game, the way he attacks the game, the way he attacks the way he attacks the weight room. It's far beyond. I was talking to a coach this weekend, and I was telling him the same thing. I said, it's hard for me to remember that he just turned 15. He's still a baby.
Yep.
And it's the things we're asking him to do. Sometimes I have to take a step back, and I'm like, man, he's still a kid. He's still.
And he's not going to say anything. Growing. He's just going to do it.
But he's not. You ask him to do it, it's going to get done. Yep, that's the beautiful thing about it is, you've got an extreme talent there, and the body size at a 15-year-old. You
looked way stronger than when we last saw him. Yep,
I'm telling you, he's been working his tail off in the weight room.
Lead off bomb the other day, like 95 off the bat.
That's
solid. That started that outing. That was there, and then Chubb went off after that.
It did, yeah. Chubb come in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying Chubb come in throwing fire, man, just straight out of the gate.
Talk about Gamer. He comes to preseason All-State, and I knew he'd been playing basketball, but he just cruised in his bullpen, and it was like 87, 89, touching 90, and then it's like coming off basketball, I get it, but man, flip the switch.
I'm
best we've ever seen him.
We jumped out there, and first pitch during warm up, I looked up at our pitch coach, like, good God, what?
That was my same exact thought too. It was like 93.
Well,
I
told him I was like. And then my pitching coach looked at me. He goes, "Man, we got to work with him on not ripping it straight out of the gate, man. We're building up to that 95, not come out pop 95 first pitch, man." So no, but he's been a lot of fun, man. His energy has been so contagious this year. Like I said, our youth is where our structure is really built around right now because of it's the makeup of our team at the moment, and it's exciting, but it's exciting because the seniors are holding it together. The juniors are holding it together. Sophomores are holding it together. So it's one collective group. We did a leadership course this off season for this main reason. We knew we were going to have a lot of youth. We needed kids to step up as leaders to take care of, their side of things, whatever it may be. You see somebody with their head down, go lift their chin up. Don't allow them to be down. And, I really feel like that has taken a toll on our kids. And I think that it's something that they believe in. They have shown it so far, we were down 5 runs late Friday, and our kids just fired back and found a way.
Yeah.
And then Saturday,
that's awesome.
they come out swinging, man, and that's
Yeah,
it's exciting to see, especially from a group of kids.
That's half of the battle, and especially in the state of Georgia, it's so competitive. I think that obviously we have so many uber talented teams all across the state, but getting those guys to buy in and each class, like you said, buying in what you're trying to do, I think that's really important. But just taking a peek at the schedule, like this is a pretty winnable schedule. I'm sure you're looking at it the same way with a lot of your guys. You'll have some key matchups pieced in there. I like that Hillgrove group. They're kind of off to a slower start, but they got some guys in the lineup.
They do that every year, man, and they fight.
Yep.
They fight
for sure. But man, it's going to be an awesome season. That Billerica matchup in April, that one's going to be kind of a fun one that we don't always get to see. They're coming off a strong year last year, and we got to see Harrison. Harrison's probably the biggest one circled for you, probably. They're going to be in their lineups there. We got to see them a lot this past couple weekends. But no, those are some games we'll definitely have circled to get out to see you guys.
And one last player I wanted to touch on with you before. I know we talked about it a little bit this weekend. Yeah, he finished out the weekend for you guys, ended up being one of the uncommitted senior leaders for you guys. And JC Crenshaw went through a 7-inning shutout, no hit, or 7-inning shutout, 7 Ks, 1 walk against a quality team of Flowery Branch. Just talk about his outing and what he brings for you guys this year as one of the few seniors you guys have.
It's not. Yeah, so it's not even so much just this one outing, man. It's what he's done all year so far. He's had 2 starts. He's 2-0. He's given up 5 hits total. He threw a combined no in game 1 to open up the season. He came out ripping and roaring. I think he's got 17 Ks, 18 Ks, somewhere in there on the season so far. It's not that he's going to blow it by you, but his pitchability is so high that he finds a way to get weak ground balls and pop-ups. We're heavy on inducing contact in the first 4 pitches, and he is the epitome of a kid that does that for you. So anytime he's on the mound, we feel extremely confident. We're excited about it. So, man, I'm telling you, he has been a true pillar for these young guys to lean on, because he's going to give it everything he's got every time he gets out there.
Yeah, it's always nice to have guys like that, especially with being a senior. Those guys get outs in this state, in any state, but especially in this state with the lineups that you have. It's always good to have a guy that's going to go right at guys for you that you can count 100%. On time in and time out. Well, Coach, we appreciate you hopping on.
Absolutely, I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it was fun seeing you guys this past weekend. We'll definitely be out again to see you guys later in the season. Good luck the rest of the way, and look forward to hopefully seeing you in the playoffs.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Nice. That's great, dude. Love having guests, man. It's always fun. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, that's a fun team.
And they just have such a high ceiling now. Like, they're finding their way so early, obviously with Chubb and Malachi, other guys in that squad. Assad is a big piece for them.
Tice Williams is in
Tice
there.
Williams. Yeah. Adrian Islas is a big first baseman who's done nothing but hit the last 2 years.
Jordan Stokes.
Yeah, Jordan Stokes behind the plate, an upperclassman on that team, who really just kind of locks things down behind the plate and really just bring a low IQ, or not a low IQ, excuse me, but a low heartbeat to that team as well.
You got to have a low heartbeat to
with a lot of underclassmen like
Chubb,
that.
Chubb's heartbeat's way up here. Chubb's high energy.
Especially when he's ripping 95, it's the heartbeat's even going, I can't imagine what the BPI was.
We had him, I guess, his junior future games year, so 2022, I guess. I think he was actually 13, same thing as Malachi. He came up and played on the 14, and that was the team with Ben Fussell, Tyler Van Sumeren, Reese Grodman, Mav Chitwood. So it was a really, really fun. That was one of the more fun teams that we ended up making a run and lost to Michigan in the semifinals. But Chubb was getting on guys that weren't in the dugout, getting fired up. He wanted to beat Michigan so bad because he knew the kids. I think from the Michigan, the Motor City Hit Dogs.
Hit Dogs, yeah.
Yeah, so it was fun. He's a fun player to be around for sure. But man, he showed up.
That kind of stuff is the best combination you can have.
For sure. Anything else on the Georgia? I know this was your first Georgia Dugout Club experience. Any
No,
big time
I was
takeaways?
here. I froze last year as well. I was here, but not as
Oh yeah, that's
prominent.
right. We're like
Yeah, I was
you
here. I
just got
admit it.
here.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you
just
just
got
got
here,
here.
so I didn't know
Yeah.
anybody last year. So like going into it and like just being around all the coaches and the players was really special.
Yeah.
this
Now you
year.
can like walk into the dugout and they're like, "What up, man?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And like it was good to see a lot of the talent we had. The pitching was awesome. Obviously, we had a lot of the 25 bats that really showed out. Like obviously Terrence Bone and Ty Peoples, John Stetzer looked great. Obviously, Brady Holbrook made a really great showing yesterday. Finished his week out with a 3-bomb day, including a walk-off or a 3-0 North Forsyth day as well. 3-0 North Forsyth week. But yeah,
I was glad to see
was
them.
great to see that. Javi Ojeda hit a massive pull side granny that was pimped, which was good to see. You know, you like to see that stuff. The juices are flowing early in this cold weather, but it was really fun, man. It was great to see a lot of the talent, and I'm excited for this week. We got a fun stock of a fun schedule of games this week coming up. We got some 70-degree weather on tap, so things are looking up.
Looking good.
Yeah, things are looking up for the weather-wise, and I'm just excited to watch more baseball. Yeah, but nothing else on GDC. I'm glad we'll have some more content coming out this week on GDC. Obviously, another director's list will be out this week. We'll have a lot of words on what we saw over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back and looking at, just kind of the feed on Twitter and some stuff I didn't get to see on the other side when we were bouncing around. So looking forward to that. Definitely had some big performances. We'll have all tournament team coming out probably Wednesday. Coaches are getting those stats in, and we'll put that team together. But just like glancing over these, like Parker Hope, I know we talked about it over the weekend, but Parker Hope for Altoona has put together a monster 2 weekends. This past weekend, he was 4 for 9, 2 singles, a double, a triple with 4 RBIs. Last weekend, he went 6 for 10, 4 singles, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs. So within the 2 weekends, he's put together 10 hits, hitting over 500. He was a kid we got to see in a scout day in the fall. We were like, man, you got a shot at Altoona. And he was like, I don't know who all we have. I don't know exactly if I'll get the time on varsity, but man, he has, and he's really ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, if that lineup hits, man, with the pitching they're a team that can really make a run, and with 2 big weekends against quality competition for an underclassman like that, I feel like every time we looked up, it was a barrel. So
Cruz Paul's firing as well, another home run.
Dukes as well, yeah, he's recently uncommitted, so that's a guy who's trying to find a home and really making some big impact early in the year, getting a lot of quality at bats and making a name for himself now.
Yeah, Anthony Almaroth, he's a guy that we've got to see a lot over the last couple of years. He went 5 for 10.
Loved it. I mean, the other week too.
He went 5 for 10, 3 singles, a double, a home run. But man, it was a lot of fun. We love covering that event every year. We talk to guys, and they want to, we want to have our own tournament, eventually somewhere. But like, it's too good not to have Georgia Dugout Club at Lake Point every year. It's so fun to be able to see all the teams we get to see. Teams like Wayne County come up here, and we get to see them. I think I just saw one of our guys posted a 90-26 uncommitted arm. So we're always excited to see teams like that. But yeah, before we go, week ahead, tomorrow, I think I'm going Lambert versus North Gwinnett. Get a first time seeing Lambert. We had one of our guys see North Gwinnett against Kings Ridge last week. So I'm going to go over to Lambert for that one.
Matthew Trantovich going off to start the year. I think he's got 3 bombs already to start the year. It looks really locked in at the plate, and that's huge for him.
That'll be a good matchup for him too.
Uncommitted 26, making impacts early is massive to see.
Yeah, good matchup. And then Tuesday, North Cobb Christian versus Gordon Lee. Get to see Braden Little on Gordon Lee, a guy I'm really high on who came to preseason All-State, junior future gamer. So they're coming into town, into Marietta. I think Carson Bruce is going to start that game. So get to see one of the more dynamic outfields in the state with that sophomore trio and him, JD, and Austin Tambora. So excited to get to see them again after seeing them at Georgia Dugout Club last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for my week as well. Tomorrow, making the trip down to Macon to see First Presbyterian Day with the number 1 player in the 26th class, and Keon Johnson, a couple other names, Wyatt Waters down there, and Connor Strandmark as well. I'm excited to see playing a veterans team that has a ton of quality bats as well. Uncommitted 25, Brandon Mercer, Kason Flowers in the 27 class as well. Looks really good to start the year. It's a matchup I'm excited to see and get down there early to get down and start the South Georgia run as we get into March. We're going to start doing a lot more. Tuesday, get to see some Flames with Dean Livingston facing Kings Ridge. Get out to see some Kings Ridge boys that we're high on. Chip Glasky, Lee Holt, guys that are showing some power early. Obviously, both hit bombs last week and good showings as well against quality competition. Wednesday, another quality matchup on tap with North Atlanta and Holy Innocents. I mean, it's a lot of good baseball. Yeah, a lot of good baseball this week.
Updating these classification records. Holy Innocents looking at 4-0 now. A couple names popping up.
391 arms in the rotation now with Davis Jalebi and Davis Jalebi and Davis Harper and Amari Griffin as well from the left side. So they have guys and the bats are stepping up as well. So that'd be huge. And facing a North Atlanta team that now is Eli Pitts, which is big, and they're 3-1 on the year.
That'll be a fun one for sure. I think this 2A group, it's going to be a good one to shake out. Franklin County obviously beat some quality competitors this past weekend at Georgia Dugout Club. Morgan County's off to a perfect start. We're definitely going to get out to see them soon. Get to see Reed, one of the top uncommitted bats in that 26 class. So, this 2A's, I think it's going to get tight. We need to get out to see Prince Ave pretty soon. We got to see Rockmart, North Cobb Christian still in the mix. I think that if they can figure out their pieces on the mound, I think that they're going to be a contender for sure.
The ceiling's crazy with that roster. I think there's 5 or 6 27s in that lineup that all hit with some 26s as well that have really shown up. Hudson Newell, great place
for sure. Nothing too crazy yet, happening in the Power 25 world. A lot of 2-loss, 1-loss, 3-loss teams, but that's kind of how it goes every year. These guys play quality competition. Everybody does. So it's like Power 25, we're going to take in consideration like strength of schedule, talent on the team, all that good stuff. Classification rankings are going to be more straightforward, who you beat, who you lose to, and sift them that way. So it's always fun to look at. North Forsyth, I think, is going to be a riser for me. They were a pick for me last year, but man, the experience on the mound is just, it's like one of the best in the state with what Sam Moore did this past week too. He was up to 91, giving them strong innings, typically a closer type kid, but he's found that changeup now and he's fit into that starter role. And Braden Seafold and then, Brady Holbrook, our guy over there, one of our interns thought he was more of a arm. And I'm like, no, dude, he can hit. Like he rakes. He was at that same game when I first saw Stutzer. It was like Stutzer and Holbrook. They were like my 2 favorite guys in the 25 class. I had just gotten hired as the scouting director, went out down the road to North Forsyth to see them, and it was like Holbrook and Stutzer. They were like my favorite 2 guys to start the year. But, man, he had a strong showing. But, yeah, I think that with Seth Dixon, Ellis Aldridge, Germanenko, Ozzie Patterson's off to a huge start. I think he's got 2 or 3 bombs already.
Yeah, he ranked in preseason All-State, and the power seemed to make a huge jump. I think he was 96 off the bat, and he was super fired up about it that day. He kind of knew that the power was coming along, and now it's showing in game early. I think that's huge for them. I mean, Braden Weems is another one they have as well in that rotation.
Eddie.
They have so many guys. I mean, that's more depth, I think, than a lot of teams have. I think they have 1 loss on the year, and they came to a really quality North Gwinnett team as well. So. Yeah, they're showing out early. I mean, obviously 3-0 this weekend is huge with a walk-off win. That really is going to really set the tone heading into next week. Region play opening up. Obviously, it seemed like the out of region play flew by this year with the 2-week practice. Last year it felt so much longer, but it was about the same amount as this year. But with the practice window being so short, nobody really had the time. So a lot of these early losses kind of feel like they should be washed out of the way because teams are just really figuring it out. You look at a team like Great Grayson who made a state championship. Like that team has the pieces to make a run. Obviously, it's going to take some time to figure it out, replacing a lot they lost from last year. But it's early season jitters. It's 30 degrees. I think we're going to start to see who really teams are at these next 2, 3, 4 weeks as we get into March.
And North Forsyth is going to stack up against Pope this week in Lumpkin County, and then they'll move into region with South Forsyth. So I'm so
that
excited
region's
for
gonna
this
be brutal.
the Forsyth region. Yeah, I'm super pumped
It's
for it.
deadly.
I'm down the road. I'm in Cherokee County, so I'll get to see a lot of those. So, and there's such high energy games too. Everybody cross town and cross county, so those are gonna be fun to see for sure. But gosh, I can't believe North Paulding and Etowah North Paulding and Etowah
Yeah,
are already
this week, it's crazy. Like you got to be ready to go like instantly. And that's two of the best 1-2 they have in the state with Lucas Fargo and Yenli and Alaska at North Paulding, and then obviously
He went off at
Matthew
Georgia Dugout
Sherman,
Club.
Matthew Sharman and Jackson Rose. Like that first 2 games of that series is going to be pure electric. So and with good weather, like.
What's the home and away situation look like?
Game
So we got
1 is home at North Paulding, and then 2-3 on
North
Friday.
North Paulding needed that 2 home games. That's a tough place to play at.
It's a graveyard, man, and there's like goats in the outfield too. So it's a pretty interesting place to play, and like it's gnarly.
But they're gonna travel. Etowah, you better get I know you got your chair set up, but you better if you're going at Etowah, you better get that figured out. That's gonna be
I'm gonna have to be there
madhouse.
while school. I'm gonna get there at 1:00 in the afternoon or anything. Like I'm just gonna have to hang out.
They'll hook you up though. You would
have to call the boys, real quick to really get in there. But
Dion's back rolling. That's awesome to see.
Yeah, big 3. They were down the other night against a quality Cartersville team with Avery Shiflett on the mound and hit a big bomb and not an Etowah bomb either. Hit a nuke, which is good to see. If he gets rolling with the top of that lineup, like if 1 through 6 hits on that team, like they're gonna beat everybody. Caden Borcherding in the 2-hole is like really developing quickly now. Like that's a guy that like was glove first as a freshman starter last year, and now it's an all-around profile. Like I saw him turn on a ball when I went out to Alpharetta last week. That was one of the more impressive swings that I've ever seen him take. It was a line out, but like he thought he got it off the bat, and it looked like it, and it felt like it. And if you can start really showing pop off the bat with that hit tool, it's gonna be crazy to see that profile jump.
Yeah, definitely. He's put in some work this offseason too. I know he's felt the same way. He knew that he needed to be that glove first guy, but he's gotten in the weight room. He's gotten stronger. Any other big takes? Shooter put us on the spot, man. Which we kind of dodged it a little bit. We didn't really get too much into it. We'll let a couple more weeks play out, and then we'll start throwing some predictions
once region
around.
starts rolling, and like everybody's healthy and stretched out. Like I don't feel like half these arms are stretched. We got guys still going 3-4 innings. I want to see some warm weather, some long starts. Just really.
People mad at us too, rolling up the games. Like
it's early, guys. Can't be going to 158 games getting grilled by parents. That's not cool. We got 1,400 people watching tonight. Can't. Most people
I'll give one. It's not a hot take, but like Central Carrollton, who I got to see opening day, they're off to a 6-0 start. So keep an eye out for them in 4A. Obviously, regional get rolling, but man, he's got 4 freshmen in the lineup, and he's doing a lot of good things over there. So we got to get back out to see them. St. Pius is rolling, who you got to see.
Yeah, opening day. Just about to mention them as well.
Yeah, 6-0.
Really good chance. Young guys in the lineup.
Altoona 6-0. So like that 4A, they're coming for that. Those top 4 were kind of solidified in the BT, North Oconee, Marist, Cartersville. But there's going to be some guys coming through. Like there's some guys coming up for sure. Kell's off to a 6-1 start.
Yep.
Wayne County, who we just got to see. I like that group. I like what they have there. I didn't even get to see one of their big arms in Logan Scarborough. We were talking about that. The kid's like 6'8". We've seen him in the summers over the past. But Ware County, we got to get out to see them soon.
I feel like Kell deserves a pass for that first loss. Facing
that was the 18.
They had to go double header following a 15-inning game yesterday in cold, frigid conditions.
Oh, they lost the doubleheader.
They lost the second game.
The second one.
Yeah. So like you got to take that with a grain of salt. Like playing 2 games in one and then jumping back 20 minutes later.
Yeah, 3 games.
3 games in 3 hours. Was ridiculous. So that's take that loss with a grain of salt. Just take it in stride. It's a good start for them. It's a team they've really overachieved now, looking to be 2 years in a row, and it's a young team and got some guys that are stepping up early, which is huge.
For sure. Loganville looked like Loganville. I think that with Jordan Johnson on the mound this year, it makes them probably better than they were last year. Keep an eye on them. I think that, you can never count them out, obviously. 6A is kind of, like you said, off to, they're beating up on each other a little bit. Tift County is going to come through. They're going to jump into the classification rankings tomorrow. I think they got a lot of big pieces down there. They got a bunch of strike-throwing arms in Ryan Whitley and who's our other one? I'm blanking. But Tyler Van Sumeren in the lineup. Landon Parrish, John Davis. Yeah, so can't count them out either. They're hunting for that region. We got that one circled. When's that Lowndes matchup?
Big Lowndes TCC matchup.
We got to be there for that one.
Thursday.
Yeah, March 25th and 28th will be that Tift Lowndes matchup. So I would say that's going to be for the region that late in the year. I think that, they got Colquitt. Colquitt's got some pieces this year. We were down there. We liked, a lot of their guys. Richmond Hill looks solid this weekend. We'll see. They might slip up, but I think that Lowndes Tift matchup is going to be for that region. Any other takeaways? Any other big takes before we get ready for really our first? Not even calm week. We got Rising Stars All State on Saturday.
Yeah, no, things are rolling.
Yeah, after this week, we'll be able to get into a routine with like Power 25 classification, Player of the Week. You guys, make sure your coaches have the Player of the Week email. I think we got a handful of those submissions in, so we're going to do that every week on Wednesdays. Classification rankings Monday, Power 25 Tuesday, Player of the Week Wednesday. This week we'll roll out Georgia Dugout Club, Scout Blog probably Wednesday or Thursday. Directors list, we'll do that again. That's always a fun one. We kind of get to break down our biggest winners, sleepers, top underclass impact. That's a list that Ian came up with. It's been really fun to do for us each year. Newest piece of content we have coming out is going to be the Peach Performers. So, every couple weeks, Ian and I are going to kind of start looking at, some of our biggest takeaways from games that we've gone to, and it's in the name, performers. Like we want to see who shows up. We want to recognize those big performances. Obviously, we're not going to see all of them. That's what the Diamond Notes and Player of the Week's for. We comb through those. We see who's doing well. We also added a new section in that Player of the Week email to your coaches that lets us know like impact underclass guys that are in the lineup, and then top uncommitted guys that we need to come see. So we got a lot of stuff going on the back end for you guys. We want to get out to as many games as we can, but obviously we can't make them all, so we are using that to highlight you guys.
Yeah, I think that's good, man. I think all that stuff is going to be things that we have coming out this week consistently. Like this is going to be more consistent than we've had over the last few weeks. Obviously, there's been a ton with GDC, and we had a Rising Stars this past weekend, and with the season starting so fast. So, like, consistency will become a key. Obviously, Sunday nights, Peach Fuzz, always going to continue to happen. We had 1 week that we took off last week just to really get a refresher, but now we're back. We've had the most we've had on here on the stream. We're going for an hour strong tonight. It's been good to see. This is only going to continue to get better. Continue to reach out and tell us what you want to see on here. Obviously, send in any questions you guys have and that you want us to talk about, any topics that we're not covering that you want us to cover. We'd love to hear it as well.
If you don't catch us live, if you don't catch us live, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. I'm uploading the whole podcast on there right after this, so that'll be on there. I guess last thing before we go. Top prospect games, first round of invites have been sent out. So check your inbox for those. Underclass on June 3rd and 4th, upper class on June 10th and 11th. Showcase day will be the first day, and then we'll play games the following day. We're going to do that one pretty big this year. We're going to go swag bags with them. We're already getting that in the works. So that's our marquee summer event for the state of Georgia. Over 75% of the Future Games team comes from that underclass event. Pretty much the whole senior Future Games team is going to come from the top prospect upperclassmen on June 10th and 11th. We're going to have, the 6 or 8 slots that we had last year because of the regionalized teams for that. So yeah, those are always circled on our calendar. Shooter's going to be there for the underclass. We roll right into MPI the day after. So that's always the gauntlet of a week, but it's the most talented week in the state of Georgia by far. We're looking to have, all those guys at preseason All-State. We want to have you guys there as well. So counting down the days for that one.
And then that even leads us into super sophomore a few months later. Like, we'll have to help identify some guys for that as well as we build the Team Georgia for that event, which will be on the East Coast later in the summer as well.
Yeah, we got to get that rolling. We'll get that up and out soon. It's going to be at Duke and one other, NC State.
Yeah, NC State, yes.
Yeah, so it's going to be there. We're going to put together a 25 team. That'll be the 28th,
yes.
Yeah, that'll be the 28th going into your sophomore year. So that's something to look forward to. And then obviously future games next year for you 28th. So yeah, other than that, I think we're going to cut it there. It's been a fun one. Glad we got able to get Shooter on. Like I said, if you missed the whole first half of the episode, it's going to be on YouTube here shortly. So check that out tomorrow. We'll see you out of the games. Let us know what you want to see. Other than that, see you guys at the fields.
Appreciate Coach Autry for coming on as well.
For sure.
Talking McKeecher.
Thanks for setting that up.
Absolutely. It's a good show, guys. Appreciate it, Huddy. Let's see you next week.
Yep. We'll see you then.